let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, valuation. How many people here believe that valuation is a multiple of EBITDA? Show of hands. Put your hands up high. Come on, seriously. Because, okay, if it's not, then what is valuation? Because if I have I'll give you a perfect example. Reinsurance company came to me and they had $5 million of EBITDA and they had 3 offers at $30 million. Because that industry in reinsurance was a 6-time multiple, period. And that's the benchmark. So if you guys were selling a company that had $5 million of EBITDA in a market that 6 times was the standard, how many of you feel you could get more than 6 times EBITDA? And why? I'm sorry? Really? Okay. Well, let's start with the most basic factor, okay? If we take, let's say, critter control, because we talked about this yesterday. So, Mark, if you're doing critter control and you're animal control, your industry is rated at what, 4-time multiple? On the animal is 4-time multiple, right? Okay. 5-time multiple, forgive me. But are animals pests? They're tremendous pests. So if you were a pest control company, what's that industry multiple? 10 times. So would you classify yourself as animal control or pest control? So now what you do is you call it pest control. And you classify yourself as pest control. Here's another example. Mike has an online education program, online training. If he does online education, he's in a classification that is 4 times multiple. But if he classifies himself as a publishing company, because that's what he is, he's publishing content, he doubles that. Now he's at an 8-time multiple. So the first step in looking at valuation is to look at what your classification is and or what your classification can be. I can tell you from my entire career of building and selling companies, it is something that I can count the number of people who've done this on one hand and have a lot of fingers left. Nobody ever thinks of this or looks at it this way. I've never met anyone who's selling a company who ever even knew where to look at their classification ranking. So that's the step 1. Step 2, let's go back to this reinsurance company, $5 million in EBITDA, and they're being sold for $30 million. They have 3 offers for $30 million. The equity firm calls me in and says, we're missing something. And so I look at it. So what are some of the other factors that if you were looking at that company, you would evaluate, you would look at, you would focus on, you would uncover to increase its valuation? So I came in and I said, I don't really care about the HR. I don't care about the debt. All this due diligence was done. Every bean counter in the world had looked at every single spreadsheet and figured it out. So I took a step back and started asking questions. And what are some of the questions that we might want to ask? What is the national average retention rate? That's the first question, not what's theirs. What's the national average so we have a benchmark? So the national average in this case is about 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years. Theirs is 7 years. What does that tell us? It has to indicate that they have a higher level of service, a higher level of loyalty from their customers, a stronger affinity, better products, better servicing, better response, better claims. All of these things would point all the fact that they're holding on to a dealer for 7 years in a fickle market where dealers look at this as a commodity, where it's vanilla ice cream or it's French vanilla, who cares? I can save $20, I'll go there. These dealers aren't doing that. You know, a service contract sales rep will walk in and say, I can go $20 cheaper. Okay, I'll do it. They're not doing that. They're staying. They're loyal. So there must be something about this third-party administrator that is different. So now it opens up the door in valuation to say, well, wait a minute. What is the cost of acquiring a customer? We have to look at that. And so let's just say, I'm making this up, but let's just say it costs $5,000 to acquire a customer. Well, now, to acquire this group, this base of customers, you'd have to spend that $5,000 times those 300 customers every 2.5 years. Well, here you're spending it one time for 7 years. Does that affect the valuation of this company? Damn right it does. Okay? What other questions would we ask? People. How many people do they have? What's their personnel count? I'm sorry, let's back it up one. What's the average number of administrative personnel per 100 accounts? There you go. It turns out they have half as many administrative staff as any other TPA per 100 dealers. So for their 300 dealers, they have literally half the staff. What does that tell us? Aside from the fact that they have lower overhead, which we can't really factor in because the numbers came out to the 5 million, which accounted for that. So I can't say, oh, look at all the money they're saving, will increase the valuation. That's already been done. But what does it tell us about the company? They're running efficiently. Lean is a result of efficiency. So I don't go and say they're running lean because it might mean, well, they're stretching their limit, everybody, and they're working 12-hour days. No, they're running efficiently. They can produce the same result or better, clearly better because you have a 7-year persistency, with half the personnel, which means they're more than twice as efficient as anyone else. So if we add all this together, that increases the valuation, right?